Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to SGX SICOM Rubber Futures and Options webinar series. I'm Kenneth Ng from the Singapore Exchange, and I'll be the webinar host and moderator. Today's webinar is on rubber market fundamentals and factors affecting rubber prices. Speaker for today is Mr. Patrick Yeo from Straits Financial Services Private Limited. Before I hand over the presentation to Patrick, I'd like to give you a short update on SGX. Webinar disclaimer. Please take note of the disclaimer pertaining to the collection and use of information that you have provided, prohibition of use of information in this webinar by individuals and entities located in certain jurisdictions, and disclaimer of guarantees, representation, and warranties in relation to this webinar. A copy of this disclaimer is available on our website. There are 4 webinars in this series. If you have missed any of these webinars, you may visit our SGX YouTube channel for recorded version. Next, I would like to give you a short update on SGX and our products. SGX is an integrated securities and derivative exchange in Singapore. The exchange was formed in 1999 following the merger of the Singapore Stock Exchange and the Singapore International Monetary Exchange, or SIMEX. SGX is also a listed company, and our shares are listed on our own SGX Securities Market main board. We operate Southeast Asia's largest stock market with a market capitalization of over 1 trillion Singapore dollars. On the derivative market, we offer the most comprehensive range of Asian stock index, currencies, and commodities derivatives. SGX acquired SICOM in the year 2008. For some of you here from the rubber industry, you would know that SICOM was the rubber futures exchange in Singapore. After the acquisition, SICOM Rubber Futures is now traded under the SGX platform. Because of the long history and strong brand name in the rubber market, we still retain SICOM's brand name in our rubber futures products. SGX is headquartered in Singapore, and we are supported by 9 representative offices globally to service our global customers. SGX's commodities products can be broadly classified into these 6 broad categories. We have the world's most actively traded iron ore market outside China, where we trade an average of 12 million metric tons of iron ore a day. For more information on SGX commodities products, you may visit our website. SGX SICOM Rubber Futures is the global benchmark for the rubber industry. Our SICOM Rubber Futures prices are used by tyre makers globally to price 75% of rubber raw materials. SGX rubber products can be broadly classified into 3 broad categories. For exchange-traded futures, we offer the world's only US dollar-traded TSR20 and RSS3 futures. We also offer the world's only TSR20 rubber options. In addition to exchange-traded futures and options, we also have 3 OTC rubber forwards based on standard Thai rubber, standard Malaysia rubber, and standard Indonesian rubber. Quick statistics on our rubber contracts. We trade an average of 45,000 metric tons of rubber futures a day. On very active days, the volume can be as high as 100,000 metric tons a day or more. We had a record month in March 2020, where we traded a record 1.18 million metric tons for the whole month. This is roughly about 10,000 lots of futures per day. This is a screen capture of the trading activity of our TSR20 rubber futures on the 2nd of April 2020. As you can see, all the contract months are traded and with good open interest. This offers hedgers the flexibility to choose the actual contract months to hedge their exposure. For calendar spread traders, the trading activities along the whole forward curve present spreading opportunities. These are our contact information. Please feel free to contact us if you need more information. I will now hand over the presentation to the speaker of today's webinar. Thank you.
Hello everyone, I hope you can hear me. My name is Patrick Yeo, and I think many of you knows me, but I just want to say a very warm welcome to our webinar on the natural rubber market. And for all my overseas friends who are still in, thank you very much. All right, and welcome to Singapore. Okay, today my task this afternoon is basically to tell you about the basic fundamentals of rubber and also the rubber futures market that is traded at the Singapore Exchange. We call it the SICOM Rubber. And actually, for the next 1 hour, I'll be talking to you quite a lot of things, all right? I'll be talking to you about the basics of rubber, what rubber is actually about, and how rubber became a Southeast Asia product, all right? How Singapore became a rubber trading center, and its importance in today's market is still visible, all right? Because a lot of rubber trading companies and tire makers are based in Singapore still. Then we're going to go through a little bit detail on the TSR20 and the RSS contract, which is actually the standard rubber and the sheet rubber. And we're going to talk a little bit about the exchanges that offer rubber futures contract. It's not just Singapore, but there are other countries as well. Then we go through the contract specification of the rubber contracts, then the trading opportunities in rubber futures, and also what are the key drivers of rubber prices. So it's a whole lot of information for you. So I just need you, most of you are at home, I believe, so just sit there, relax, have your drink, your coffee on the table, and just enjoy the session, all right? First of all, I'd like to ask a question. Why is rubber a unique commodity? Compared to copper, compared to soybeans and iron, what is so special about rubber? So you should be thinking about it right now. Rubber, actually, it is special because it is elastic. All right, it is elastic. It can bounce like a rubber ball, and it's stretchable. All right. So because of its molecular structure, you pull and stretch a piece of rubber, it can actually go back to its original shape or position. Rubber resists water. It contains air like balloon, and it's an excellent electrical insulator. Most of our wiring, we use rubber to protect us. Even sometimes when we have a spoiled bulb at home, what do? We change the bulb, but before we change the bulb, we actually wear a pair of rubber shoes, just to protect ourselves. Very importantly, rubber is used for making vehicle tires. In fact, more than 70 to 80%, of rubber that are produced, both the natural rubber and synthetic rubber are used in vehicle tires production. Rubber is also used in hospitals, surgical gloves, contraceptives, especially right now during the COVID-19 epidemic. We are shortage of gloves right now. All right. Water is also used for waterproofing, raincoats, sealants, swimsuits. A lot of them use rubber to manufacture. And also there are so many uses of rubber. All right, belts, shoe conveying belts, rubber valves, washers, etc. So you can see that rubber is actually a very, very important commodity in our daily lives. Okay, we use them every day, but we actually never think of it like a rubber band that we use to tie, certain things. All right, even a car, about 800 to 900 parts inside a car, inside a vehicle, is made of rubber parts actually. So the next question is, where does rubber originate from? Those of you in the rubber market may know that actually it came from South American origin. Yeah, so it came from the Amazon, both in Peru and in Brazil. So this white suspension milky liquid called latex, that came from the rubber tree in the spurge family. And this rubber tree, officially is known as the Hevea brasiliensis tree. All right, there are many species that produce latex, but this tree, the Hevea tree, is actually the commercial tree that actually produces latex, good quality latex for making natural rubber. Rubber tree has a lifespan of about 30 to 35 years. Commercial rubber trees we are talking about. And after planting, it takes about 6 to 7 years before it is matured for harvesting. In other words, before 6 years, if you try to tap the rubber tree, there is no latex. It's not matured yet. Yeah? And you actually can harm the tree. So it takes about 6 to 7 years. Unlike palm oil, it takes about probably 3 to 3.5 years. Rubber trees grows best in hot, moist climate, meaning you need a lot of hot weather, you need a lot of sunshine, you need a lot of rain. And it's about 700 miles either side of the equator. Okay, on the map it's about 10 degrees north and south. So climate that are in very cold countries that are above the Tropic of Cancer and below the Tropic of Capricorn is not conducive for growing rubber. Okay, very interestingly, in 1770, English chemist known as Joseph Priestley discovered that this rubber material is an eraser to rub off pencil marks. It can erase pencil marks. And this is how the word rubber came about. All right? And in 1839, a very, very important discovery called vulcanization, okay, by Charles Goodyear. Charles Goodyear is actually a scientist because rubber in its original form, when the weather is cold, rubber becomes hard and brittle. But when the weather is very hot, it becomes soft and sticky. So it was very hard to commercialize the rubber. But Charles Goodyear, during his testing, he found that by burning the rubber with added sulfur, you can actually make the rubber strong and resistant to heat and cold. And this is a big evolution to the car market, to the vehicle market. So what is actually rubber? Natural rubber is actually an isoprene. An isoprene in 1826, English chemist Michael Faraday says that he discovered that rubber is actually a hydrocarbon product. And for rubber, a single isoprene consists of 5 atoms of carbon and 8 atoms of hydrogen. That is why it's called a hydrocarbon product. And because of this hydrocarbon product that is available, which is quite similar to petroleum product, which is also a hydrocarbon product, later on, after or during the Second World War, synthetic rubber was discovered. So actually, it is a single isoprene with a molecular structure of 5 carbon and 8 hydrogen. All right, and can you see the word N here? This is actually, N means chain linking. All right, meaning rubber is stretchable because of this chain linking of the various isoprene. So when it becomes a poly or many isoprene comes together, okay, the structure becomes stretchable. All right. What is the difference then between natural rubber and synthetic rubber? All right. We know that synthetic rubber is also used in the manufacture of rubber goods as well as rubber tires. So basically, synthetic rubber comes from petroleum products. All right. And there are many different kinds of synthetic rubber. And there are basically between 15 to 20 types of synthetic rubber. But the most common that I like to explain to you today is the SBR, which is commonly used in synthetic rubber. It's called the Styrene-Butadiene rubber. And Styrene-Butadiene comes from petroleum products that were actually polymerized from petroleum products. All right, the two gases are actually mixed together, okay, from methane gas, and they actually breaks down into butadiene and styrene. And when you mix these two together, butadiene and styrene, it becomes SBR, which is the Styrene-Butadiene rubber, mostly used in synthetic rubber. And you can see that the molecular structure is actually quite complex here. All right, it's about C12H14 actually, if you combine butadiene and styrene. But today we are not going to talk so much about the synthetic rubber. We are focused on our natural rubber. So the rubber story, how did rubber come to Southeast Asia, and how come Thailand, Malaysia, Indonesia, Vietnam, and Singapore became the early rubber trading center? It is because of this man, okay? In 1876, the English explorer, his name is Henry Whitman, he actually was in Brazil, and he stole and secretly shipped 70,000 rubber seeds from Brazil in the Amazon forest. And he actually shipped it to the Botanic Garden in Kew in the United Kingdom. And he tried to grow the rubber trees there. If you remember correctly, I earlier said that rubber grows best near the equator. But UK was just too far from the equator. And the seedlings grew, germinated and grew, but it could not last. So what happened was the seedlings were brought to Asia. And the first stop that actually stopped was in India, in a place called Assam, in northeastern Asia. But because of the long traveling time, the seedlings actually dry up and died. So the second batch of seedlings were brought to Ceylon, which today is known as Sri Lanka. All right, then it came to Singapore, Malaysia, later to Malaysia and Indonesia. So Singapore was actually one of the earliest countries to do the rubber trees. And when the rubber seeds actually came, when the seedling came to Singapore, it was during the Straits settlement. Straits settlement here means Singapore were under the British colonial. The other countries in Malaysia like Malacca, Penang, they were also under the British colonial. And this man, Henry Nicholas Wrigley, he was appointed the first director of the Botanic Garden in Singapore. And being a botanist, a love of trees, he planted the rubber trees in the Botanic Garden, and he started going to Malaysia and Indonesia to tell people to plant the rubber trees. All right? And in 1918, the RTA, as the Rubber Tree Association of Singapore, was established. So what happened was when Nicholas Henry Wrigley went to Malaysia, one of the earliest rubber plantation was actually planted by Tan Chay Hian. Tan Chay Hian was the grandson of Tan Tock Seng, the guy who built the Tan Tock Seng Hospital in Singapore. And the rubber plantations started springing up in Malaysia, Indonesia, and Thailand. During that time, it was very hard to convince people to plant rubber because the price of coffee, the price of clothes, and the other commodities were quite high. But when these prices, when these commodities start going down, people have the incentive to try out the rubber. And we can see that rubber plantations start springing up in Malaysia, Indonesia, and later on in Thailand. So this picture actually shows Henry Nicholas Wrigley. He was actually trying to experiment how to tap the rubber trees, how to get the best of the latex from the rubber tree. And he tried this tapping called the herringbone cut of the tree, which actually do both sides to collect the latex. All right. So there were a lot of research, a lot of testing how to tap the rubber tree in the early days. When plantation and rubber plantation and rubber start to grow in Malaya and Indonesia, the rubbers were actually transported by these wooden boats to the Singapore River. And this rubber were unprocessed, mostly sheet rubber or block, not even block rubber, but slab rubber. All right. And you can see that this is the old Singapore River with all these wooden boats here. It's known as the tongkangs, or they call it the wapao during that time, where rubber was shipped here. And along the river bank, buyers will go and inspect the rubber at the rubber banks and at the warehouses in the morning. And later on, they will put on their bets in the afternoon to buy the rubber. Okay, and this rubber later on were processed, repacked, smoked, and sent to Japan, Europe, and the other countries. So you can see that in the early days, rubber trading or rubber were actually done via the auction. So in the morning, after inspecting the rubber, they put the bids, and in the afternoon, the people who bid the highest, the traders that bid the highest, will be awarded. All right, and the rubber was shipped to London, and London was the main trading hours or the main trading center during the time until after the World War II, where rubber trading was shifted to Singapore. Actually, this statue that you are seeing is actually Henry Nicholas Wrigley. And for those of you who want to take a look at this picture, you can still go to the Rubber Trade Association of Singapore, which is at Tong Eng Building, to take a look at this statue. All right. Please take note that the early rubber trade were actually organized and auctioned by SICRA, which is the Singapore International Chamber of Commerce Rubber Association. So basically rubber, we have a few kinds of rubber. We call it the standard or block rubber, the technical specialized rubber. This is a generic term for TSR 20, all right? But in the country of production, in Thailand, we call it the standard Thai rubber grade 20. Okay, the reason why it's 20 is because of the dirt content, all right? For technically specified rubber 20, the dirt content is 0.16, all right, standard grade. And in Malaysia, it's known as the SMR20 because it's known as the standard Malaysian rubber. Then we have Indonesia, the standard Indonesian rubber. In Vietnam, we have the standard Vietnam rubber 3L because it is a latex grade. And of course, we have also the CV grade, all right, which is constant viscosity. Then we have the smoke rubber, which is the RSS, the reed smoke sheet rubber, which is less produced right now. World production between the TSR20 and the RSS is approximately 85% of TSR20 and 10 to 15% of the RSS. All right. So these are sheet rubber. You can see that the sheet rubber is here, whereas the standard rubber is here. Right. These are standard rubber, which is actually, we call it crumb rubber or block rubber that is compressed. Okay. Of course, we have a latex that is used for making surgical gloves, as well as other creep rubber that are mostly produced in India and Sri Lanka, used for rubber shoes and some other general rubber goods as well. So let's look at the major producing countries, consuming countries of rubber, and also what are their average yield in these countries. All right. We know that after 1992, from 1992, Thailand has overtaken Malaysia as the largest natural rubber producing countries. And if you look at 2019, rubber produced 4.8 million. Thailand produced about 4.8 million tons, followed by Indonesia 3.3, Vietnam almost 1.2. Then we have China, Ivory Coast, India, and Malaysia. You can see that Malaysia has actually gone down quite a bit in terms of ranking because rubber trees were cut down to produce mostly oil palm or palm oil plantation and other foodstuff and development. Okay, so you can see that the whole world, the total production of rubber last year, according to ANRPC, is about 13.8 million tons. All right, I got this graph, this table from my friend from ANRPC, thanks to Mr. Tom Jacob for this slide. And let's look at the consuming countries. Consuming countries, we have China, all right, European Union, India, USA, Thailand, Japan. So these are, I want you to look at the China number. You can see that in last year, 2019, China, although China is a major producing country, they produce about 812 tons. Actually, China consumes 5.5 million tons. This is just natural rubber, excluding synthetic rubber. And you can see that this is actually a very, very large amount compared to the European Union. Therefore, any economic data, any supply and demand disruption from China does have a big impact on rubber prices. All right. I also like you to see India. India is consuming 1.1 million tons of rubber. But if you look at their production, India actually produced last year only 780 tons. So India, although is a major producer, is actually a major consumer as well. All right. The average yield per hectare, all right, just for your information, 1 hectare of rubber plantation is actually 100 meters by 100 meters square. In other words, 1 hectare is 100 meters by 100 meters, approximately the size of a football field. And you can see that these are the producing countries. And let's look at the big one first. Thailand produce, for every hectare per year, they produce 1.4 million tons, 1.4 tons of rubber. Vietnam has the highest yield, about nearly 1.7. Sri Lanka and Philippines are very small, 600 and 700 respectively. Malaysia estimation 1.4 tons per hectare. Indonesia only 1 ton. India 1.4. And China about 1 ton. Cambodia about 1.1 ton. Okay. Basically, just to let you know that the different countries produce different amount, and if they can increase their tonnage, actually the production can be a lot better. All right. So my next question is, where does the rubber futures traded and on which exchange? Is SICOM the only one? Actually, it's not. Rubber futures actually traded on a few exchanges in a few countries. SGX SICOM, we have the TSR20 and the RSS, all right, and it's traded in US dollar, one lot, 5 metric tons, all right. It's a very small contract size, 5 metric tons. The next exchange that trade rubber, which is RSS and TSR available, is actually the Japanese Tokyo market, the Tokyo Commodity Exchange, and it's priced in Japanese yen, one lot, 5 metric tons as well, all right. Shanghai is actually our largest volume here. We have the Shanghai Futures Exchange and also the Shanghai International Petroleum Exchange or Energy Exchange. Shanghai Futures Exchange traded the RSS3 and IME traded the TSR20. All right, both exchanges in Shanghai, but are traded in the Chinese yuan, or we call it the renminbi. One contract is 10 metric tons. All right. Then we have the Thailand Futures Exchange that trade the RSS3 in Thai baht, 5 metric tons. And in India, we have the India Commodity Exchange, which previously known as the NCDX, National Commodity Exchange of India. They trade the RSS4 in Indian rupee. And the contract size is only 1 metric ton. All right. So you can actually assess all this. All right. But you notice that the most important, why did Kenneth earlier on say that Singapore is the benchmark for rubber pricing? If you remember correctly, just now he said that 75% or more of the tyre consumers, of the major tyre manufacturing companies look at SICOM prices. That is a lot, okay? And why are we the US dollar benchmark? Because we are the US dollar benchmark. Yeah? So it's priced in US dollar, and US dollar being an international currency is also easily settled. All right? So I'm going to talk a little bit about the TSR20 and the RSS. Okay? According to the IRA, the International Rubber Association, these are the contract specification. The dirt content 0.16 for TSR20. That is why it is called 20, because the dirt content must be below 0.2. All right? If it's 0.21, then it becomes TSR30. All right? If it's 0.09, then it becomes TSR10. All right? Ash content 1%, nitrogen 0.6, volatile metal 0.8. And these are the two important numbers, the PRI, which is the Plasticity Retention Index. Some are 40 and 50, but I put 50 here because most of the tyre companies, they want the PRI to be at least 50 or higher, okay, when they purchase the rubber from the processors. And of course, we have the Wallace, we call the Plasticity Origin, is 30, all right. So these are the stretchable and the retention index, which are closely monitored by tyre consumers. This is the standard packing for the TSR20, and you can see that this is what we call the wooden pallet string wrap, where one delivery lot in SICOM is 20.16 metric tons. All right. In other words, you need, because one lot in the futures market is 5 metric tons, you need to buy 4 lots for delivery. All right. And just to let you know that in this one pallet, okay, one pallet, it consists of 36 bale, and one bale is 35 kilo. All right. So if you have one bale of rubber, of standard rubber or block rubber is 35 kilo, you multiply by 36 bale, and one delivery is 16 of this pallet. It can fit into a 20-foot container. All right. That is why we have 20.16 ton or 20,160 kilogram. All right. For those in the rubber market, this is something very familiar to you. I like to emphasize this because some of our friends on the webinar, they are probably new to the rubber market. All right. These are the major tyre companies in Singapore. All of them, they have offices in Singapore. And that makes Singapore an important rubber trading center. All right. These companies, and if I miss any of your names for those tyre companies that have office in Singapore, please pardon me if I miss any of your logo here. All right. Okay. On this slide, I just want to explain that the tyre consumers, tyre manufacturing companies, and tyre and rubber producers, they can actually use the SGX SICOM Futures contract for hedging. All right. Why? Because if you are a tyre consumer, you need to buy rubber to make your tyres. So naturally, you are short. And if you are short, you need to buy futures to protect any price rise. All right? And when you long futures, we call it a long hedge. Why? Because you are short the physical. All right? So tyre consumers, those who are on the line, please note that you will need to buy SICOM rubber futures in your hedging. All right? And for what about the producers and processors? Those people who are producers and processors, they buy the cup lump, they buy the raw material, so they are naturally long. And processors and producers, they are afraid that prices goes down. So they will need to short or sell rubber futures on SICOM market. Why? Because they are long the physical. All right? So when you short the rubber futures contract, you are actually selling a short hedge. All right? So whether you are long hedge or short hedge, the reference point is whether you are long futures or short futures. All right? For those of you who are already doing the hedging on the SICOM market, yes, thank you very much for your support to our exchange. But for those of you who have not, you can always talk to me or Kenneth after the webinar, and we can have a session on that. All right? And this is actually one of the processing plant where the rubber are processed. We call it a blanket. All right? And these are the top 5 tyre companies in the world. We have number 1, the Bridgestone. Second is Michelin from France. US is third, Goodyear. Then we have German Continental. And of course, we have Pirelli, which is from Italy, but owned by the Chinese, which is 5th position right now. All right, these are the top 5 rubber manufacturing companies. All right. So on SGX, there are 2 futures contracts basically. Okay, the technical specific rubber, which is block 20, and also the RSS3. This is the sheet rubber. This is the block rubber, or we call it the standard rubber or crumb rubber. All right. So very quickly, let's look at the contract specs for the RSS. 5 metric tons available 12 consecutive months. In other words, you can hedge up to 12 months. All right. And of course, the specification is under the, we call it the international packing for the green book for RSS3. Delivery units, okay, 1 lot is 5 tons, so it's 4 lots. Why 20 metric tons? Is because the container can put in, a 20-foot container can put in 20 metric tons. All right. Trading hours 7:55 to 6 p.m. There's no break there. Price in US dollar per kilo. 1 cent movement. Your profit and loss is $5. Okay, delivery is made on FOB on the Singapore port. All right. But buyers and sellers, they are allowed ADP. ADP is alternative delivery procedures. In other words, for those buyers and sellers, if they want to privately negotiate themselves, they can actually make private arrangement for delivery after the contract expires. All right. But the buyer and seller must have a written permission and approval from SGX to say that they want to do the delivery on the ADP basis. All right. Last trading day will be the last business day of the contract month preceding. So if you are trading the May contract, the last business day will be the last business day of April. All right. If you are trading June, then your last trading day will be the 31st of May. All right. Port of loading, FOB Singapore, but customer can choose to collect, buyers can choose to collect from Bangkok, Lam Chaban, or Penang. These 3 ports, okay? Because RSS is produced in Thailand, so the Thai ports, we make it flexible that the Thai ports are available for delivery. All right, but there will be a discount for the buyer. I'll show you later. And of course, the initial margin for SGX is 660, maintenance margin 600. In other words, before you start trading 5 metric tons, you must have $660 in your account with a broker. All right. Let's look at the TSR 20. Okay. Same thing, 5 metric tons, 12 months. Okay, but the delivery unit is 20.16 because of the packaging. Remember, I told you it's 35 kilo per bill, and you need 36 bill in one pallet and 16 pallets. All right, trading hours are all the same, except the port of loading. Please take note that although it is FOB Singapore, okay, delivery can be made on the Indonesian port of Belawan, Palembang, and Surabaya. Okay, and for those Thai suppliers, the buyers can actually collect from Bangkok, Penang, Lam Chaban, or Port Klang in Malaysia. Okay. Initial margin $605, maintenance margin $550. All right. Just now I mentioned that during the delivery, you can actually collect rubber from the different ports. All right. So if the buyer send the ship to the port of Penang to collect the TSR20, okay, then you get 1.5 cents discount per kilo. All right. You can, if you are collecting from Palembang, the port of Palembang in Indonesia, then the buyer will get a discount of 2.5 cents per kilo from your transacted price. All right. Meaning if you buy rubber at, let's say, 125, okay, or sorry, 115. Huh? Right now the price is lower, 115. Your transaction, if the buyer buys at 115, then you will get at 112.5 if he collect the rubber from port of Palembang. Okay, but if he collect the rubber from Singapore, then he pay 115. All right, and these are the ports, the discount for the RSS. If you need more information, the information is available on sgx.com. All right. Let's look at the SGX SICOM volume and open interest. You can see that over the years, the volume has been increasing, and the importance of trading, delivery, and benchmarking using the SICOM contract. What I want you to see is that, can you see the red little dot here? Actually, those are the RSS volume. So you can see that most of the volume, in fact, 95 to 98% of the volume on SGX is based on the TSR20 contract. All right. And as I mentioned earlier on, about 85 to 90% of natural rubber production is now on the standard rubber, which is TSR20. All right. Okay, next we're going to talk about two more topics to go, actually, trading opportunities as well as what are the factors affecting rubber prices. So for the next few minutes, I'm going to go through the trading opportunities using the rubber futures contract. All right. So for those of you who are already traded rubber before, it is not new to you. You need to open an account with a broker like myself, and you need to put a deposit. But for those who are new, or those of you who are trading metals or palm oil or some other commodity contracts, you need to have an account with a broker in Singapore, okay, or elsewhere. So before you trade the rubber futures contract, I just have a few points that you should know, okay? First of all, you must learn about the contract. You must know the contract specification. You must have a market view or at least some perception on where the market is going. Right? You don't trade something just because your friend asks you to trade, right? The second thing you want to take note is the risk capital. The risk capital is the amount of margin of funds that you want to deposit and you're willing to risk your capital in putting up a trade. All right? Then you got to ask yourself, what about the time horizon? You know, some people think that, oh, rubber is going up maybe end of this year. So they are position traded. They are long-term or mid-term position traded. Some people, they like to trade every day. We call it the intraday trader. They are short-term traders. So you got to ask yourself whether are you a short-term trader or are you a position trader? Okay, or are you a swing trader? A swing trader basically is someone who takes opportunities when they hear some news and they jump into the market. As and when they have a view, or when the market swings certain direction, they go in to take advantage. Okay, with a view, of course. Yeah. Then you got to take about point number 4 is about the trade size and the risk appetite. Okay, what kind of number of lots do you want to trade? Do you trade just very conservatively 1 or 2 lots, or are you going to go in 20 lots, 100 lots sometime? So the trade size and your risk appetite is something that you got to ask yourself. All right. Some people like to trade spread trading because it is probably less risky than directional trades. All right. What about the tools used in trading? Are you going to call in a broker? Are you going to use fundamental or technical analysis to put in your trades? What kind of trading platform are you using? Okay, are you using the trading technology or the CQG or the PAC system? Something like that. Okay, and these platforms are available by the brokers actually. And of course, you need to have some risk management. You don't just say that you buy in the market drop and you just, no matter, go and sleep, forget it. You better use some stop loss order, trailing stops, trade some spreads or something like that. All right? Because if you don't manage your risk properly, this is leverage trading, you have margin call. All right? So let's look at some of the trading opportunities on SGX Rubber Contract. Okay? First of all, we talk about outright trading. Outright trading means directional trade. All right? If you think market is going up, you buy. If you think market is going down, you sell. All right? This is directional trade. Then we have pre-spread trading. Okay? Just briefly, because on the next webinar next week, there will be a special trader, Mr. Michael Sim, talking on spread trading. All right? So I'm going to just briefly talk about spread trading, which is the calendar spread or the inter-delivery month spread. I'm going to talk about the inter-commodity spread, which is different commodities, and also the spread trading on what we call the intermarket. That means you buy one market and you sell one market. All right? So very quickly, outright trading. Outright trading means directional trade. That means you put on a position with a view. Okay? So example, you buy, why you buy 10 lots of June contract, TF is the TSR 20 at 113.5, for example. All right? Why? Because you think the market is going up. And if you are right, after buying, you sell at 117.5 and you make 4 cents per kilo. Okay? You bought at 113.5, you sold at 117.5, you make 4 cents. And 4 cents is actually 40 ticks. And we know that one tick, 0.1 is $5. So 4 ticks, 4.0 is multiplied by 50, multiplied by 10 contracts that you buy and sell, is $2,000. All right? Excluding commission. All right? Commission is just a few dollars per lot. Yeah? So if you think that the market is going down, you can actually start selling, although you don't own any rubber. That's the beauty of futures market. If you think the market is going down, you can go short first. You sell 10 contracts of the TSR 20 June contract at 113.5, and you buy them if the market drops 110.0. You make 3.5 points per kilo, 3.5 cents per kilo, which is 35 ticks. Okay, so 3.5 times 50 times 10, you get 1750. Okay? Of course, what happens if the market goes up? Then you suffer a loss. So this example is just to show some profit. Because we are in the coronavirus pandemic situation, I thought I make some profit just to make everybody happy. Yeah? So you should be smiling now, right? Okay, let's do it. Number 2, which is spread trading. Spread trading, we call it the inter-delivery month spread, okay, or calendar spread. Okay, before I talk about spread trading, a spread means you buy and sell at the same time. All right? And this time you buy and sell different months. Same commodity, different month. We call it a inter-delivery month spread. Okay? Sometimes it's also known as the intra-market spread. So for example, if the TSR June contract is 113.5 and the July is 113.5. Okay? You take the front month minus, you take June minus July. Okay? The front month minus the deferred month. We get 3.5 minus 3.8. We get minus 0.3. Okay? So what happened is that minus 0.3 is here, and you see 0 is here. Here is positive, here is more negative. So what happened is that if you think that the spread is going to be more negative, we call it a bear spread. Then you sell the June month, the nearby month, and buy the far month, the next month. Okay? So you sell 10 June at 113, and you buy July at 113.8 at 0.3. And let's say 1 week later, the market actually falls to 2.5. Okay? The price of June from 113 actually went up to 115, but the July went up to 117.5. So actually, the spread has become more negative 2.5. So you sold at minus 0.3, you buy back at minus 2.5, you make a 2.2 profit, okay? Minus 2.5, the difference between minus 2.5 and minus 0.3 is 2.2. So you make 22 ticks, and you know that one tick is $5. So 2.2 times 50 times 10 contracts, you get 1,001. All right? This is, we call it a calendar spread. You trade 1 month against another. All right? The next spread that we're going to talk about is the inter-commodity spread. Something very commodity, different commodity. Okay, it can be any commodity. You can buy rubber, sell palm oil, you can buy soybean, sell rubber, you can buy gold, you can buy silver. Okay, different commodities. All right, but in this case, my example is actually TSR versus RSS. All right, the TSR June is trading at 113, and the RSS on SICOM is trading at 115.5. And we can see that the difference is that the RSS is actually 2 cents more expensive than the TSR. All right. So you think that the spread is going to be more negative again. So you do a bad spread, or you think that the spread is going to be more negative. You sell June, TSR June at 113.5. You buy RSS at 115.5. And what happened? You got minus 2 here. Okay, that means you are expecting this thing to expand actually, or become more negative. 1 week later, you buy the spread back at 118.5. Okay, that means 113, you sell. Now you buy back at 118.5. You lose 5 here. Okay, but you bought at 115.5. You sold at 122.5. You make 7 here. Okay, so you lose 5, you make 7, you make 2. So you can see that from this spread, when you get the best spread, you sold the best spread at minus 2, you buy back the best spread at minus 4, you actually make 2 points or 20 ticks. So 2.0 times 50 times 10, you make $1,000. Okay, spreads trading are very good for people who do not want to guess the direction. Okay, but they trade the relationship between one commodity versus another commodity. Okay. And the last example for this trading opportunity is what we call the intermarket spread. Intermarket spread, some people call it the intermarket arbitrage. That means you trade one commodity from one exchange and you trade another commodity or similar commodity to another exchange. Okay. So here, example is RSS. I use the TF, which is the TSR 20 June contract. SGX SICOM is trading at 111.0, and the TOCOM RSS is trading at 131.2. The reason why I'm using the TOCOM RSS is because this contract is more liquid. All right. TOCOM has a TSR 20 contract, but it has no volume, so it is impossible to do the arbitrage. So I'm using the TOCOM RSS versus the TSR SGX. All right. So you buy the TSR SGX contract June at 111.0, and you sell 10 RSS TOCOM at 131.2. Remember, this is in Japanese yen, this is in US dollar. So there is a currency exposure there that you have to take note. Yeah? And a week later, assuming that the RSS has gone up to 115, you bought at 111, you bought up to 115. So there's a profit of 4 cents per kilo here. You sold the RSS in TOCOM at 131.2, and you buy them back at 133.2. So you lost 2.0. All right. So you multiply them, 40 times 50, US dollar contract, you make 2,000, but the TOCOM contract, you lost 2 Japanese yen. 2 Japanese yen times 500 yen, you lost 100,000 yen, which is equivalent to $925. Okay, we convert them to dollar yen, 108.11. There's a spread gain of 2,000 minus 925, you gain $1,075. So this example is basically to tell you that in trading rubber, because there are other exchanges that offer rubber futures contract, you can do an intermarket arbitrage, or we can do an intermarket spread as well. But please take note of the exchange rate risks as well as the liquidity of the contract. I hope it's not too complex for you. If it is, you can always send me an email. All right. Okay, the last part of my speech will be the key drivers of the rubber price. And this probably will take another 5 minutes before we end the webinar, as well as for your questions to come. All right. So when we are talking about forecasting rubber price, here are some of the important factors that please take note. All right. In any commodities, the world supply, demand, and carryover are very important. Remember just now I showed you which are the big producing countries in the world. Can you remember which are the top 3 natural rubber producing countries? Of course, you know if you're in the rubber market. Thailand, followed by Indonesia, followed by Vietnam. All right, these are the top 3. And which is the biggest rubber consumer? You know it's China, the European Union, and you know the USA, Japan. These are the big ones. Okay. We also want to know the economic factors of the global economy. Right now, we are talking about global recession. So, of course, the demand for rubber will be less. All right. So, we want to look at some of the important numbers like GDP, PMI, stocks level, vehicle sales. Okay. Another important figure to note is the weather in producing countries, especially because it can disrupt, for example, flood in early 2017 in Thailand. You know, the rubber tappers cannot go to the rubber plantation to tap the latex, the rubber trees. Okay? Of course, we have speculation from fund allocation, speculative activities from hedge funds, rubber traders, commodity, CTA, and all that. All right? And of course, we want to look at the other commodities as well. Crude oil, which actually produces synthetic rubber, we want to monitor the crude oil. We also want to monitor some of the related commodities, like the Goldman Sachs Commodity Index, the CRB Index, etc. All right. So let's quickly look at some of the important data. All right. Remember I said about the world GDP. All right. So you can see that the US, China, and Japan, these are the largest economies. So this is something that you want to take note. Okay. And one interesting to note is that the United States actually has a 24.7% share of the global economy. In other words, the nominal GDP is about quarter. So controlled by the United States. Yeah. Then we want to know how the world economic look like. We got this chart from the World Bank, and it says that last year in 2009, the world economy grew at 3%. So we got this coronavirus going on this year. What do you think is the GDP, global GDP this year? Maybe negative, yeah? We are going into a global recession. All right? I just let you know that last year we grew 3% globally. All right? Just to show you some of the top 3 economies, the GDP, China is 6% last year, US about 3.2%, and Japan is quite bad, 0.1%. Government economic policies can also affect rubber prices. Like, for example, last year during the trade war, Trump has very often threatened higher tariffs on China. And this actually can impact the Chinese economy. It can affect rubber prices as well. All right. So some of these news that you want to take note. All right. I talk about the weather. Okay. Thailand in January 2017. You see the flood. These are the cup lump on the boat. And you see the rubber plantation. Quite bad, And because of this flood in January 2017, the rubber price actually spiked up from here, right? From December to January, it went up actually from 150 to 2.57. And 2 months later, it dropped back down. So you can see that weather related, especially to major producing countries, is to take note, yeah? What about car sales? How many percent of the vehicles industry use rubber? We know that it's about 75 to 80%. And you can see that because of the coronavirus, China reported, this news is from Bloomberg, it's not from me. So it's a real stuff. Vincent, I hope you are listening there because you're queuing in. You know, the car sales actually slumped 92% in the first half of February this year. China car sales. And you know that China is the largest car market in the world. So what happened to the demand for rubber? Of course, it will be impacted. All right. So car sales numbers are something that you like to look at, especially car sales in Europe, in China, and in the US. This is a very interesting graph. The blue line is actually the car sales of the United States. And the light brown color or orange color is actually from China sales. You can see that from 1999, the US car sales is quite consistent. But what happened is that in the year 2009, China car sales surpasses the US. So if one day somebody asks you, US is actually the largest car sales market in the world, please tell them no. From 2009, China became the largest, no more the US. All right? So you show them this graph, yeah? Okay? And how do you know this? Because you learned from the webinar, isn't it? All right. Okay. So please take note the annual car sales. All right? Okay, I have come to almost the end of the webinar. I just want to show you two graphs of the rubber price, okay? And remember, this is the high, the flat, and right now we are here, 10 something, yeah? So you can see that rubber prices has been depressed, especially so in the last 2 to 3 years. In fact, after coming down from the peak at 2011, the last 8 years, rubber prices has been down. Okay, some of you actually call me and ask, will rubber price break the $1 per kilo? Okay, I say I don't know. I think so. Yeah. Okay, is anybody guess actually? All right. And some of you think that $1 is the lowest price. May not be so, because the next graph I want to show you is that this is a long-term graph that I got from my friend Vincent from Bloomberg. And you can see that from the year 1999 to 2011, rubber prices actually stay below the $1 line. Okay, the historic low is about 50 cents to 60 cents per kilo. All right, and right now we are here. Of course, in 2011, we rallied to almost $6 per kilo, right? And right now we are here. So this is a long-term graph to tell you that we are actually on the low side of the rubber price. Okay, whether we break $1 or not, I think it depends on very much the world economy, supply-demand figure, and also whether will there be a supply disruption because of the low prices. All right. So for those of you who are very interested in the rubber contract, some of the useful websites, Rubber News. It's very hard to get rubber news from Bloomberg and Thomson Reuters. So some of these websites, the rubbernews.com, Global Markets, Rubber World, European Rubber Journal, and News Now. These are some of the good websites that you can actually, look for when you are trading the rubber market. All right. Some of the news may be outdated, some may be old news, but it's a good reference point for you. All right. Alternatively, you can call me and ask me, is there any news in the market as well? Yeah. So I've come to the end of my session. If you need to WhatsApp me, okay, this is the number.